Hi. Today I'd like to talk about the theme of taking charge of your life. Do you feel that maybe you're not as in charge as you'd like to be, not as in control as you'd like to be, that your life is somehow a chaotic mess and you want to make it better? Well, let's tune in and find out how we can really take charge of our lives. Taking charge of our life is an oxymoron. How the hell do you take charge of your life? I think it's a very interesting question, and I think we can go around in circles about it. The problem with this whole idea of taking charge of your life, I suppose, it comes down to a question. Can you actually take charge of your life? Is your life a random series of events and happenings? Are you a victim of circumstance, or can you really take charge of your life? And to what degree can you take charge of your life? Because some people would kind of suggest you can master your life and that you can direct your life any way you like, and other people have different ideas. So there's a lot of variabilities in how we could look at taking charge of your life. So I'll tell you the perspective I take, because I think there's different perspectives that people can take. So this is the perspective that I take. The perspective which I take on this subject is that we are not fully in control of everything, okay? So I do talk at times on this channel about the law of attraction. And the law of attraction certainly has a big effect. Basically, what you think about and feel about repeatedly creates your reality. But I don't buy into the concept that you can control everything. And the rather materialistic idea of, you create a blueprint and you have this cool life with cars and, sexy partners and, you're always having cool stuff. And this is what's portrayed in social media. And I always feel there's two directions you can go on this. And one direction is, doing the kind of damn Blazerian type thing where you create this life that's probably not very real, but it's a projection of how you'd like people to think about you. Or you can try and become yourself. And I'm of the latter view, you should become yourself. And the challenge is, while we can look at the law of attraction and we say, probably I have created everything in my life, and therefore I'm responsible for everything. Presently, in my conscious state of being, I'm not always in control. You see, there's two extremes here. One extreme is victim consciousness. I'm a victim of circumstance. I'm a victim of my life. I'm disempowered. The other viewpoint is I'm the master of my life, and if my life is shitty, I created it. I'm the cause of all my problems. And there's truth in both perspectives because we're not fully in control of everything. And yet, what we think about and feel about repeatedly creates a reality. So how do we navigate this? I'll just give you my perspective. My perspective is, yes, you probably have, believe it or not, at some point in the past, created your circumstances. But you are not presently in the state of mind to control everything. And this is the problem. And also, you can't control everything from the point of view of other people. They also have choices. They also have freedom. It's like you can't make somebody love you, or you can't make it rain pennies from heaven. There's certain things you just can't do. You can only look after your little bit. What we do know is that what you think about and feel about repeatedly with strong emotions and visuals will create your destiny over time if you've got the patience to hang around. I think the big flaw is expecting amazing things to happen instantly. We have to think in terms of what I like to call or think of as immersion. So what I like to call immersion, to me it seems very logical because I think a lot of what's being sold out there, courses and so on, is this, YouTube and visualize your life and blah, blah, blah. I think a lot of it's very unrealistic. But let's think of it this way. If you take something that you want and you start immersing yourself in it, where will it bring you? Let's give a very simple example. This is the example I like to think of. Let's say tomorrow you've got the idea in your head, or some family member got the idea in their head, that we're going to migrate to another country. So I'm going to use the example of, let's think of something very amazing. Let's say Japan. Let's say tomorrow decide we're going to go to Japan. We might go to Japan, okay? There might be a job opportunity in Japan. It might be a good idea to go to Japan for some reason. And initially, I'm saying the whole family. So initially, you're thinking about, that seems a bit mad, isn't it? It's a crazy conversation, it's a crazy concept. Or maybe it's an idea in your head. And then you and the family members start, looking at brochures and thinking about it, looking at the job opportunities, maybe applying for a job, looking at visa possibilities. And it goes from a stage that's ridiculous to a maybe. And then it goes further. It goes to a stage whereby you actually end up booking a flight and going to Japan. Now it starts to get a bit real, and you start to say your family might have kids, you might start thinking about putting the kids in Japanese schools. What school would you have, and what's the requirements and language and so on. And you go back home and it's getting more serious. And then after a while, it's coming to the stage you're actually accepting a job offer or college offer, and you're booking a ticket, you're heading to Japan. And now this is your narrative. You see, initially your narrative was, that's absurd. And Japan, where did you get that idea from? But after a few months, it's like, wow, we're on the way to Japan. And next thing, I'm in Japan. Now, I really feel that this is how things tend to shape up in life. Things tend to shape up in life in that sense of what we think about and feel about we become, which is very much the law of attraction, but it's more practical, because I think a lot of what's being sold out there as the law of attraction is, you go to some motivational seminar, you spend a lot of money, you start fantasizing basically, okay? But I think rather you start thinking about what you want to achieve in life. And you start, let's say you want to become a film director. Well, you start watching YouTube videos on film direction and film reviews and technical stuff about it. You start reading magazines. You join a forum and you comment on the forum. You do online courses, maybe a Udemy course, maybe a more serious course. Maybe in your city there's some film school, like a small workshop, and you join it. You start making your own little videos and films. You start making friends who do the same thing. And over a period of time, over weeks, months, and years, you start to become a filmmaker. At some stage, you make a film and you publish it and launch it. Maybe it's a very small film. Maybe it's a film that costs a couple of $1,000s and watched by a few hundred people, but you are now officially a filmmaker. And what a lot of people do at this stage is they'll find it's a hassle and it's not the success they want and it's very hard to get things done, and they drop it. But let's say you don't drop it. Let's say you just have this fire in your belly for filmmaking. And you keep at it and keep at it year in, year out, and you hold down your job and do all this sort of stuff. But you work at it, and you make another movie, and another movie, and another movie. And 10, 15 years later, you've made 5 or 6 movies. You're pretty good at making movies. And who knows, maybe even now at this stage, maybe you're working at it professionally, or at least you're making some damn good, interesting movies. Okay? You get the idea. You've created the narrative that you want. So the biggest thing I would say is taking charge of your life. Is to create the narrative you want, because you are now living in the narrative. And the narrative was created possibly by your family, the circumstances of their life, what they're living in, and you were just born into that. Or you took up a job after school or college, or you arrived in a new country and you fell into doing things. We all do this. So we all fall into a narrative. Half we create, half we don't. But we do have volition, we do have free will, we do have the ability to do new things. And we have choice, and choice is what makes human beings very, very unique, because you have the opportunity to make choices about your life. And one of those choices you could have is having a dream and working towards it. So I'm not saying being ridiculous or having, silly ideas and fantasies, but if you can get clear about what you'd like to achieve in your life, what you like to do, you can forge passion into power. There's a book by a guy called John T. Hannigan, back in the 50s maybe. He was an Irish psychoanalyst, and a book called Forging Passion into Power. So you can forge your passion into power. And I just feel that immersing ourselves bit by bit, that we get more and more into the job role we want, more and more into the relationship we want, more and more into the lifestyle we want, more and more into the person that we want to be. So this is taking the law of attraction and giving attraction, rather than being some fantasy thing. It's very practical, and something that you've probably done before, and something that we do all the time in reality. We do make choices, and we do get absorbed in things, and often things that we get really interested in start becoming a more serious part of our life, and it becomes really interesting and exciting, and maybe a lot of things in our life don't work, but this one aspect does work. This hobby, this interest, this one thing we're good at, It's one thing we're like doing. And I'm not saying you should just drop it and make it your living, because like the independent filmmaker, for example, very few of these people can make a living. But you can start doing things you really like. And I can't guarantee it, but there's a pretty good chance, pragmatically speaking, that if you start immersing yourself into the life you want to lead, there's a pretty good chance that if you want that to be your life, if you want to have job opportunities in that, if you want to have income in that, a business in that perhaps, pretty good chance that if you're willing to stick it out, and when I mean stick it out, whether it be a year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, if you're really ready to go for the long haul in pursuing your passion, there's a good chance you can make a career out of it. And if you can't make a career out of it, at least there's a good chance it can be an integral part of your life and you can find a lot of satisfaction. Because I don't really buy into the theory that everybody on the planet can make their passion a job, and maybe making your passion a job mightn't be the greatest idea. Okay, so there's a lot of practical considerations. But you can really take charge of your life in the sense of there's something or some things you'd like to do, and if you're willing to put the time and energy in, you can do them. Maybe part-time, maybe full-time, but they can become part of your life, and you can become part of it by immersing yourself. So it's not just a question of what you're thinking and feeling, it's what you're thinking, feeling, and doing, the actions you're taking, and changing that narrative through proactivity and through positivity, really believing in your vision and working towards it and immersing yourself in the lifestyle you want. So when you think of taking charge of your life, it usually means things like having an independent income, living in the country you want, relationships you want. So start working towards those. Start immersing yourself. You want to have a certain type of lifestyle, you want to have a rich lifestyle. Start reading about the rich people. Start having pictures of rich people or watching videos of rich people. Maybe try and get a car that looks really nice, wear nice clothes, hang out with wealthy people if possible. Begin by believing you can have that life and begin living that life, even if it's to a small degree, and then slowly but surely build that life around you as best you can. You want to be a writer, for example, you must write. You must write every day and get pretty good at writing. And then after a while, maybe a year or two or a few years, because you have to develop the skill first, you must start releasing your work. And even if it sucks and even if people hate it, you must not give up. This is the second thing. I would say the first thing is immersing yourself, that really becomes your life. But the second thing is do not give up. If you're willing to have the willpower to forge your passion into power, to believe in your dream and work towards it, never give it up. Now, maybe you can make it a full-time job or business, and maybe you can't. Or maybe you make it a business and it fails. So I'm not one of these people who believes that you can make everything happen the way you want. But you can make it an integral part of your life and really live the life you want to lead and take charge of your life. Maybe you can make a living out of it. But even if you can't, for whatever reason, you can make it an integral part of your life. Because if you have a desire, and I think there's low-level desires and high-level desires. Low-level desire is like, I want potato chips or something, okay? High-level desire is, there's something in my DNA, and I need to do this, whether it's sports, or acting, or whether it's running a business, or whether it's going on a life adventure, or traveling, or whatever it is. If you need to do it, you will never be satisfied as long as you're not doing it. So start by realizing that the narrative is what makes your life. And if you're not happy with today's narrative, you can create a new narrative. But it must be real, not just a law of attraction thing that you read in a book or went to a seminar. It must be that you start creating the life that you want around you and actualizing it and having the willpower and the belief to keep at it, and at the same time pay the bills and all that stuff and maintain your relationships. I'm not saying go mad, okay? So that is what I feel is the best piece of advice I can give to you on taking charge of your life. Taking charge of your life is changing your narrative to the narrative you want. And the narrative is not just words you say or videos you watch, it's the things you do and the actions you take. And if you want to think of it from a law of attraction frame of reference, our subconscious mind basically creates a reality based upon our inputs. And whatever we're telling it repeatedly, the thoughts we think, the visual images, the emotions, it's trying to fulfill that. And if after a while it sees that all the thoughts that you think and all the feelings you have and the people you hang around with and the places you visit and the things you do seem to be saying a certain lifestyle, it will do its damnedest to create that lifestyle for you. And that really is the actualization of the law of attraction. The actualization of law of attraction, where you really take charge of your life, is changing your narrative by immersing yourself in a new narrative and having the patience and the willpower to keep at it for as long as it takes until you get to that lifestyle. Okay? Maybe not a fantasy, maybe not you don't make money at it, maybe you do, maybe you don't, but it will basically be your lifestyle, and somewhere or other you will start fulfilling those deeper inner needs, those deeper inner desires, those real desires, not those stupid desires like I want a new car tomorrow because everybody else has one. The desire for my heart, for my DNA, for my destiny that's inside me to actualize myself in some way. That can be fulfilled whether it becomes your full-time job or not, whether you live in another country or not, whether you have all those acting friends you wanted to have or not. In some way or form, if you keep at it, you will create it in a way that works for you in your life and your circumstances. And that's how you take charge of your life. I hope you found this video useful. Please check out my other videos. If you watch some of them, you kind of get a gist of where we're going on this channel. Please like and subscribe, and I'll talk to you next time.